Saad Show. It's your host, Hassan Saad. Welcome to another episode. I think this is episode 15. And to celebrate episode 15, we've got Moe G. What's going on?
What's up?
Welcome to the podcast, man. It's lovely to have you, bro.
Yo, amazing. I'm happy to be here.
I'm
Really happy to be here. It took me 14 people before me to be on this podcast, but I'm here. I'll be here.
A little bit of background, honestly.
Yeah.
How we first met, I was this little timid guy going in my first
I wouldn't
jobs.
say little. I want to say little.
Big timid guy. It was interesting, man. It was I won't mention the company name, but it was an engineering company. And if you know anything about me, I'm far away from the engineering background, right? And I was set to do business development there. And
That should have put you in front of me.
Yeah, they put you right next. 100%. We're right next to each other. And you were from Hamilton, was it? You're coming from Hamilton, and
right.
When you don't find people from that area of Ontario, right? And I'm from Windsor,
right?
And it's like Windsor, Hamilton, bro. Like, and I think we just clicked from then on. This was like 10 years ago or something. No, 8 years ago.
Oh, time passes,
probably,
man. Yeah, probably about 8 years ago. I actually just finished 9 years at the company, so maybe about 8 years ago.
About 8 years ago.
Yeah, and you forgot a little bit because it was from Windsor. Now I was from Windsor at some point.
True,
like,
right?
You're from Windsor. Okay, come on. Okay, now we're gonna be buddies. I'm not gonna give you the cold shoulder at work. Yeah,
for sure, man. Good times.
Yeah, and then you got me that. Well, one time we went to Windsor. You got me that Wind City mug that somebody stole.
Wind City. Someone stole it.
Yeah, someone stole it.
For real.
First they broke the handle, and then it just kind of disappeared.
I think it just comes with Windsor.
I think haters gotta hate.
Crazy,
right.
Yeah, man, it's lovely to have you.
So
honestly,
we're live right now?
We're live.
Oh, well, shout out to my mama.
Hey.
Right.
First of all, today we're going to talk a lot about wealth, personal wealth, how to build it, budgeting, all that good stuff. And of course, you want to introduce yourself a little bit, talk about...
So, Moe G, Hamad Al-Ghawanmeh, Palestinian, Canadian, grew up in Abu Dhabi. I'm about 35, 36 years old. I keep forgetting, but within that range.
We count down, man.
Within that range, but still young at heart. Anyway, engineer, progressing in my career in engineering, but always had the interest of money sort of things. Like, here's a fun story I remember from when we were talking earlier. So you kind of asked me when was the first time I started managing my finances. And I do remember when I was a kid, me and my brother Haytham, we were young and we wanted to buy a PlayStation. And I forget if it was a PlayStation or a Sega, but it was one of those consoles. We really wanted one. And my dad had a deal with us. He's like, okay, you guys save up half and I'll save up the other half, or I'll pay for the other half. So he got us really like saving money on Eid or our allowances. And we started thinking, okay, should I spend it on this or that? No, let's save it until we can get the PlayStation. And the day came when we had half the money. So the Pops didn't make us use the money. He went and he bought the whole thing for us. But the lesson was learned that day that you got to save money, and just builds it into yourself that when money's in your hand, it's liquid. You gotta pay attention to where it goes. And if everything you want you buy, it's gonna be gone. So the things that you really want to buy, you can't afford, and then you grow up, and this is what you see in most of the adults right now. And you see it that everybody wants something, but they can't afford it. But then you see them every single day buying little things on the way, all the little things on the way, and the big things that they want, they can't afford. Right? There comes a day where they're maybe the 30s, 40s. I got a lot of people my age asking me about, okay, now I got like a couple of dollars I want to invest. Where should I put them? The first thing I go in my mind, I kind of judge them like, you're that old and all you got is this much money. It's like, where the hell have you been in your 20s?
What's going on?
Right? So I feel like 20s should be the years where you kind of like struggle, you start working on yourself, you start working on your career, and then you start building capital and you take risks. And then in the 30s, you actually start making a decent chunk of money and start investing it properly. And in your 40s, if you do things right, you can actually retire early.
That is true.
Yeah.
That's interesting that it started off, that lesson that you still remember, that's kind of like integrated into your system, because it's that lesson you learned that, hey, saving money will lead into gratification. Maybe not instant gratification. I think today's world, a lot of children, a lot of people, and even adults, like you were saying, are into instant gratification. What can I buy now to make me happy, to give me that dopamine push or rush?
Right.
Versus the tough part is the process where, okay, I want to buy something that I know I need, well, maybe I can't afford it right now, but if I save up for it, then I can get it and I'll be happier than what I am today. Or maybe not. I don't want to say happy. I don't want to define happiness by the material shit you buy, but at least something that you needed. You'll have that gratification, but maybe a lot more gratification than instant gratification. But a lot of people are not used to it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the world doesn't help you either because especially nowadays you got social media, things popping up left, right, and center, and
keeping up with the Joneses times 1,000.
The credit card, it's a blessing and a curse, 100%. Like I swear to God, you would be sitting and you go like, okay, I feel like buying this, and you look at the price and you go like, okay, I can afford that price. I mean, you can afford one of them, but you can't afford 100 times a month, and that's what ends up happening.
Right.
So you look at it and you go like, okay, just screw it, I'm just gonna buy it, and then boom, you buy it, and you don't feel it. But if you use cash, you feel it.
You feel
right?
it. You see it going down. Versus
oh yeah, you do.
A message that you keep on.
Yeah, you see it. All right, fine. Oh shit, all right. Just ignore the message. Like your problems go away, but it's there. With money, but problems don't go away. They're right in front of you. So the world doesn't help, and it's a consumer world right now, and everything's so easy to get. Whatever you order nowadays, you order everything online. It's here the next day.
Even if you talk about it, it shows up on your advertisements, on your algorithm, and then. Like, come on, not a lot of people are disciplined. Discipline is a huge issue, and if you're not disciplined enough, you're gonna buy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
No, when you think about it, they don't teach you any of those skills, life skills at school or like university or whatever, and you kind of just grow into the environment. And honestly, society shapes you up. Like, fine, my dad, that story is just something that I remember.
Right.
And then that's one of the many steps that gets you to be a bit disciplined about spending money and where to spend it. And then you find joy in saving it, you find joy in investing it, you find joy in spending it. And money is there to be spent at the end of the day.
It's a means for you to be happy. It's a means for you. It's not everything. Like, money isn't everything. Money isn't the world. But it's a means for you to live in that world. But what about in your 20s? Like, for advice for people in their 20s who are starting off their first job and, maybe they're living with their parents and they want to build their capital. What's your advice?
All right, so we're starting with advice right now, right? We're going into it.
Going into
it, right. So for all the people in the 20s and 30s and whatever. But I think the first thing you got to invest in, before you invest in money, before you think of money or anything, you invest in yourself. You really have to invest in yourself, because most of the riches that's going to get you to get to your first million is you working in a job. Right, unless you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth or something like that, that's different. And then you start with $1 million, and when we get to that point, we'll talk about how you can double that $1 million. But let's say everybody's first goal should be $1 million, right? And then you gotta have sub goals that will get you to the $1 million. You gotta invest in yourself. And if you're just a regular guy, girl, and you just graduated university, you're living at your parents, it's fantastic to live at your parents at the beginning because you get to save a ton on rent and bills. And once you're a bit older and you live by yourself, you realize how much money you had saved living with your parents, and it's essential, really. So first things first is get a damn job, and just I'm gonna cuss, but just fucking work.
Just work.
Just work. Just work your ass off. Just work your ass off, and then you just gotta do what you gotta do, and you gotta be good at it. And in Arabic, we've got two definitions for a job. One is dawam, and one is shughul, right? And for the English audience, dawam is help me out here. Tell me the difference.
Dawam.
Right? Shughul is like going for work. Dawam is going like for duty.
Dawam is duty for sure.
And a lot of people even define it as duty. Yeah. And duty is just you go, you labor, you get out, right? That's more for like blue collar workers. Right. You go, you labor, and you come out, and then you really don't give a shit about the business or the whole hierarchy in the business, because you know you're going to be just at that level. But nonetheless, you work because you could be something at some point, right? There is a hierarchy. Wherever you are, there is a hierarchy that you can climb. And once you climb to the top of that, you can always jump diagonally somewhere else. But if you're like an engineer, an accountant, something, if you're a university graduate and you get a job, just work at it. Just really work. A lot of people start complaining, I don't like my first salary, which is like 4,000 dirhams a month, 5,000 dirhams a month. I don't like it. Well, nobody likes it. Really. Like, I'll talk about my first salary ever when I came back to Abu Dhabi. Canadian graduate. I even had some experience in Canada. I come back to Abu Dhabi. I thought, I'm like, I'm gonna rock it. I'm gonna get paid. I'm gonna get paid. Yo, I promise you, 2,500 dirhams was my first salary.
I remember you telling me.
Oh boy, oh boy. And my dad used to tell me all the time, like, just soldier through.
100%.
Just soldier through. Money will come. If you're good, people will want you.
That's
Right?
exactly
Money will come. And at that point, what was I? I was 21 years old or so.
Mm.
So you make a little money, and they tend to think it's little money. Why should I save right now? Or it's not even enough for me. I don't want to save. It's not even enough. What's 4,000 dirhams? Nowadays, I don't know anybody that's getting paid 2.5. Really, that's a university graduate.
True.
So let's say 4, 5,000, 6,000. It's too little money. I want to go out on the weekend. I want to drink. I want to eat. I want to do something. I got a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is. And you just blow the money out, right? Gas is expensive, cars and everything. You want to just keep up with the rat race or whatever it is. But it's extremely essential that no matter how little you get paid, you save some. It doesn't matter. Even when my salary was 2,500, I would save 500 every month. I would say 500 because if you spend 2,000, you spend 2,500. It's still not enough. So, but learn to always save. And when you learn to always save with little money, you're going to be able to save with big money. Now, I know a lot of guys out there that make a lot of cash every month, and they're in debt. It's just money spending habits, and you got to learn from when you're young. And when you start having that money in hand, when your parents are not giving you an allowance or whatever, when you start working, really got to spend and then really got to save.
Right.
And well, let's talk about North America for a little bit. A lot of kids start working at 16. They start paying for their tuition and everything, and it really robs them from saving because they start going into loans and all of that, and they're just going to be on their feet since they're kids, and life is expensive. And if you manage at that hardest point in your life when you paid the least amount of money to save, you start building that habit of saving. And that's the power of habit. You build that habit, then you can talk about how to invest big, how to reach your million. So lesson number 1, start saving. Now you could ask me, what's your advice on saving? It's very simple. Don't spend and see what you have at the end of the month and then put that on the side. You get your money, you get a second bank account that you don't have a debit card to, nothing, right? And every beginning of the month, you just wire a sum over there, and you slum it till the end of the month, right? You live by your own means. Don't live above your means. Don't spend too much on your credit card. Always limit your credit card to less than your salary. The bank is going to keep calling you up and be like, "Listen, Hassan, you're doing very well financially, mashallah. Okay, how about you increase your credit card limit to 75K?" And you say, "No, absolutely not. Actually, drop it down to 10K." Right? And actually, my salary, my credit card is limited at 10,000 dirhams, no more.
That's amazing.
No more. Because the point of credit card is I need to make use of it. I get the points, I get the miles, and all of that stuff. But I don't want to be in debt.
But don't spend what you don't have.
Yeah, don't spend what you don't have. I only spend what I have in my bank account. Spend your own money or spend whatever you have. And that's like tricks of the trade of how to manage your money. And that's my advice for people like that start off in their 20s. The first things first is
save whatever you can.
Save whatever can and just keep your mind in the game. Just work. Because you got to invest in yourself and you got to be somebody at some day, right? So you got to just build your own self. You got to invest in yourself, read a book, do a couple of jobs, or just excel at your job. Go to your manager and just take work that's not yours and then build yourself. And I promise you, your whole career would change super fast if you wanted to and if you work towards it.
It's all about attitude.
Yeah, 100%. Like
your work ethics and attitude.
Ask anybody that plays a musical instrument. Which musical instrument came to anybody right off the bat? Nobody. You always suck at it at the beginning. And I play the guitar, so it hurts your fingers at the beginning, and you mess up the chords and everything. But at some point, you just kind of go on autopilot.
And then it works.
But you got to work on it.
You're gonna fail too. You have to fail, and I think one thing too in your 20s, fail in your 20s, because you don't want to fail in your 30s and 40s. Fail in your 20s and learn from these mistakes. I don't want to call them failures, but learn from these mistakes so that way you can learn quickly and fail fast. Like there's a concept of fail and fail fast because you want to learn fast.
Yeah.
But the only issue is that if you fail and you keep repeating your failures up until when you're 30 and 40, that's a tough one.
Yeah, no, we got to learn from them. That's 100%.
100%. So what you're saying is, save whatever it is. If you're making 3,000, save 500. If you're making 2,500, save 300 dirhams. Save something from your money. Build that habit of saving,
right.
just because you are going to thank yourself once you grow, because if you do put the effort and you put the hard work and you put your 100% attitude and work ethics, 100% you're going to grow in your career.
Right.
And you're going to make money later on. And you're in maybe mid 20s or even late 20s, you're going to start seeing money coming in. But then you still have that habit of putting money whenever your paycheck comes in.
Well, you have to. Mm-hmm. Well, I've read. I came across an article today with Elon Musk not paying his rent for the Twitter, the Twitter building he's in. Right. I think he's in California or something like that, and rent is unbelievable.
For sure.
And he was trying to save money. Right. If Elon Musk is trying to save money, you better save money too, right? Well, it really goes down the line, like through your life. If you want to make your first million, you got to save up money to make up your first million. If you want to double that first million from 1 million to 2 million to 10 million, you continuously have to save. You're not gonna, even if you get to financial freedom, dude, you can spend $1 million in a day if you really want to. 100%. Yeah, just go get a couple of Lamborghinis, you and your boy, for the Hassan Saad show, and you're good.
Some blue Lamborghini,
right? And then you spend it. But you really gotta save. You don't have to be frugal. You don't have to be cheap.
Right.
Don't be cheap on yourself. If you're cheap, you end up being a master of saving money, and you don't enjoy it. You have to have that sweet spot where you always reward yourself. Buy yourself something, but whatever it is. Some people are materialistic. Buy yourself a nice suit, nice glasses, nice shoes, whatever you want. Treat yourself, a watch, whatever it is. Treat yourself.
Or an experience.
Right? Or an experience. Travel somewhere. Yeah, you could
do something fancy.
Yeah.
Do something fancy. And if this episode was sponsored by any restaurant, I'd be like, go to the restaurant and spend a little bit of money.
So first مرطبات, that's it. That's hilarious.
Hard al-Bahr, man.
Yeah, we grew up on that. Yeah. So let's take it. Let's all right. So you start off saving. Let's talk about how to make the first million, right? And rule number one is to save. You save up to your first 100 grand.
That's rule number one.
Right? 100 grand in Abu Dhabi currency or UAE currency. Let's say 30 grand in Canadian currency or 30 grand American. That's like that's a sweet spot, right? And it's a bit bittersweet because 100 grand is too big to just be lying around and too little to really go into anything big.
True.
Right. So what are you going to do with 100 grand? It's like, it is the $1 million question if you think about it, right? So there's multiple ways to put your money into the market. And first of all, sitting in the bank account is the absolute worst thing you could do. Spending it is bad. Leaving your money sitting in the bank account is extremely bad for you.
But even if there's a 5%, let's say, I think Fab sponsor me. Fab has a 5% iSave. What if your money is in there just getting you 5%?
Like what, you freeze 100 grand for a full year to make you 5,000 dirhams, right?
It's better than nothing.
Yeah, but there's better stuff out there. You got to find better stuff. So let's say you don't have any better stuff. Lots of people would start off with mutual funds, bonds, right? I wouldn't touch bonds ever.
Why?
Ever. They're too long and the returns are crappy. They would lock your money up for like 10 years, 5 years if you get a short one, and they'll give you like 10% return. So you lock in 100 grand for 5 years, right? Just to make, boom, another 10,000 dirhams. You divide that by 5 years, you're making 2,000 dirhams a year. That's even worse than the mutual fund that you could put it in.
Why is the return 2%?
Well, no, it's 10% over the next 5 years or so.
Oh, yeah. 10% at the very end, or is it 10% a year?
No, not 10% a year. They don't get 10% a year.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's really bad.
Yeah, they don't get 10% a year.
You get 10% over 5 years.
Yeah, but anything that locks up your money for a long period of time is bad. You, in this current day and age, now everything is electronic, right? You can trade stocks electronically. Like you go back 15 years ago, you had to call in, right? To put in a trade.
You cannot be
your
own broker.
That's what I used to do with ADCB. I had to call in and to put in a trade when oil dropped, and that was in 2016.
Yeah, I think so.
Right? That's less than 10 years ago.
I remember when you first went into that. Remember, what was that called? The barrels. W started with a W.
WTI, right? Yeah. That's the West Texas index for American oil, right? That was in 2016 when the oil crisis happened. That was 7-8 years ago. Right? It wasn't far away. I had to call in the bank and I'm like, put in the trade right now. They're like, wait up. somebody's going to call you and they're going to confirm this trade. I'm like, come on, just put in the trade.
Habibi,
Right?
just خلص.
Yeah, because I used to trade stocks. Commodities was
Right.
still not up to date, but stocks you could I just used the app and bought it and sold, and I ended up buying, and then just a few months later I sold it to help pay off for my wedding.
Right on.
Right? Yeah, because he took my money during a poker game.
What was it, like
Right.
200 dirhams? Crazy money.
So maybe the $1 million question is, what are you going to do with 100K?
Right.
Right, you gotta invest it. You gotta invest it. Nowadays, you got wealth management portfolios. You've got even mutual funds through the banks, but they kind of milk you for fees and whatnot. But if you really want to work on yourself, because you gotta always develop yourself, read a little bit about the stock market and go into the stock market. Now you ask me, okay, I got 100 grand. What do I do? Go into all 100 grand into the stock market. If you're 30, 35, you have a house and a family, if that's all the money that you got, don't throw your money into the stock market. Just like you said a few minutes ago, that sometimes you got to fall flat on your face, right? Sometimes you got to take risks. And when you're young, you could take risks. When you're young, you could take risks, and you should take risks. And you should put that 100 grand somewhere in the stock market, but don't be stupid. Don't put it in some penny stocks. Don't put it in something that you don't know what it is. So let's say you're gonna interview someone for a job, right? So basically, you're adding somebody to your team. What you do is you look at their resume, you do research about them, blah blah blah. You interview and you go like, I'm comfortable with this person. This person, we're gonna work well. We're gonna compound a positive effect in work, and we're gonna do better. So you get them in. That's what you got to do with your money when you want to put it in stocks. Look at companies that you believe in. Companies that are product providers, not like just service providers, or like, let's say, don't put your money in Virgin Galactic that's trying to get to the moon and the sky, because that's a gamble, right? But blue chip companies, like you got Google, you got Microsoft, you've got even now Tesla, but Tesla is a bit too hyped. It works on hype. It doesn't work on the. There's two things when you look at stocks. There's like fundamentals and there's technical analysis. That could be for a different session. We can go into how to do stock trading.
Shout out to Khalid.
Oh yeah, you're gonna bring him on.
Bring him on for sure. That's a shout out.
Right. Yeah, prepare yourself with some slides, Khalid. But put your money, if you don't know what you're doing, right? You're a rookie. You want to go in, just go put your money into Google and leave it there. Google is not going to drop. You use Google every single day. Yeah, put your money into Apple. They're not going to go bust. You use Apple, billions of people use Apple every flipping day. All their products, services, and everything. Put it in Apple. And that's what you do with your first 100 grand. If it makes you 5%, 10%, 20% per year, that's great. Right? And you could be easily looking at a 20% gain per year, right? If not, you make a 10% gain per year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but that's awesome. But you're not trying to milk it annually. You're not trying to go 1 year and take that money back.
Right.
You're going to put that money in for 5-6 years, right? Now, a lot of people can make money and lose money on stocks. I've personally made a lot of money and I lost a lot of money on stocks. And you only make and lose money when you make a sale. And if you panic, you sell, and if you don't panic, you make money. And endurance is like the key for stocks. So it's not quite leverage. Leverage is when you basically put in money and borrow money from the stockbroker. You say that, listen, I really believe in this stock, but I don't have money. So I got like $2,000, and I'm going to leverage it by 3 times. So the stockbroker is going to be like, all right, fine, I'll give you a money loan, right? And this money loan is going to be, you could say, I want to triple leverage it. So they will give you $4,000. So now your 2,000 is like 6,000. And when it goes up, it goes up, and when it goes down, it goes down. But when it goes down, you will lose your first 2,000 first.
Right.
Once you lose your 2,000 first, the brokerage is not going to lose their 4K.
Right.
So they're going to take your money and you're gone. But if you make money, you make money. So it's a bit of a gamble. I don't like gambling. You gotta fix your risks. There is low risks, medium risk, high risks, and then there's illogical risk. There's just gambling. And rule 1 of the casino is know when to quit.
And house always wins.
House always wins.
The longer
that's the logo. Yeah. That's the house always wins. That's why the casinos exist.
So going back to you're telling us about the Nasdaq and the derivatives or the subsidiaries of the triple QQQ.
Yeah.
So your first 100,000, put it something like Nasdaq, or put it into something like
put it in the stock market, right? So if you want to build wealth, you got two fast tracks. One is the stock market, the second is the property market.
Right.
And any millionaire out there will have dabbled either or a CEO of a good company, you can be a business owner. But like if you really want to make it, if you're just an average Joe, you can build wealth. Anybody can build wealth, and it will take roughly 3 decades. And you will be financially stable, free, millionaire, happy. If you master the art of spending your money and self-discipline, you work on yourself, and then you invest your money in the right places. So your first 100K, you put it into the stock market and you leave it and you forget it. It's like you spent it.
Right.
You forget it. You sleep on it. If you're gonna watch that like a hawk every day, it's gonna go up, it's gonna go down, it's gonna go up, it's gonna go down. And this every single trader has to go through this, and everybody prepare yourself for this. You're gonna see the money go up, you're gonna celebrate, and then you're gonna see the ticker go down. And once it goes down, you're gonna flip and panic. You're either gonna sell at the same amount you bought in, so you're not gonna realize any wins, but you're gonna be stressed, or it's gonna start going down. You're gonna panic and go like, I don't want to lose my good saved money,
Right.
my hard saved money, and you're gonna sell at a loss so that you can keep 80K out of the 100K. And that's the worst thing. You only make or lose money when you make a sale. So do not sell when blue chip companies or the Nasdaq is going down. So let's say you had invested right before this recent recession, right?
Mm.
They claim that the recession is coming, but the recession is there. The recession has been there for a year and a bit, right? Everything dropped significantly, right?
Everything dropped and the prices are in inflation mode.
Oh yeah, and you know what they say? Most millionaires are made during a recession.
That's true.
Why? It's
For those who are buying.
because you can buy. And we've talked about this TQQQ. I love it. You put your money there now. Now put your money. It's down. It might go down a little bit. It might go up a little bit. But you put your money in the Nasdaq, or in the S&P, or in the Dow. Dow moves slowly, but it's for sure thing, right? And then you're betting on. If you're betting on the Nasdaq, you're betting on the U.S. economy. Right. And no matter what happens out there, he's telling me the new currency BRICS is coming out, the inflation is in, the Fed rates and all of that. It will all pass. All the good times will pass and all the bad times will pass. And if you look at the trend is your friend, and it will always go up. We had a very bad case in the 2000s, the dot-com bubbles.
Oh, yeah.
It bubbled up significantly and it dropped, right?
2007, 2008.
Yeah. And then 2008, 9, you had the recession. And everybody lost their minds, and people committed suicide and all of that jazz. And it depends that if you have a really high risk and you're in the stock market, because you gotta, once the stock market goes down, you gotta have resilience. So that 100K that you've put, you forget about it. It's gonna come up. It is gonna come up at some point. And then you had the last COVID hit, and it's gonna come up. And now you have this hit, and it's gonna come up. So when it's down, you're lucky enough to buy. Buy. Put your money in there. Don't put your life savings. Don't take a loan to invest. Don't take a loan to invest, but put your savings there. And at the same time, if you're working on yourself, you're making money out of your job. Your cornerstone is your job. Your cornerstone is your career. And if you're good at it, you're going to save money.
Sure.
So the idea is save your first 100K, put it in the stock market. You visit it after 5 years. You keep working and you make your second 100K. And you keep working and you make your third 100K. And so on. Enough to have enough of a down payment on a property. I find making money in the stock market and in the property market is great. But you need the bigger capital to make it in the property market. You have to invest in a property, right? And you have to find the right investment that fits you. Right. And you really have to be smart about it. So don't buy just another flat in a skyscraper. You have to find something unique, something good, something that fits you, something that can be resold. A lot of people make a mistake when they come to buy a property is they think that, would I want to live in this? Do I like this? Do I not like this? Let me tell you, the first property I ever bought, I did not see. I did not see. My agent went, she told me it's a great property. Go ahead, we're going to bid on this. And I said, I trust you. Well, you got to trust your agent, right? Sometimes you can't be good at assessing the property or a stock market or something. So there's experts that can do that,
100%.
Right? And the experts will do it for you. And I bought the property, and that's how I did it. And that's been one of the best investments I've ever done, right? And so on. So don't make the mistake of thinking is this, I want to buy a 3-bedroom or a villa or something so I can live in it for the next 20 years. Just here's a tip. Read the first chapter of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Excellent book. If you want to get into investing into property, read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Thin book. You can finish it in a flight if you want to. It's really good. It gives you the definition. It identifies to you what's the difference between an asset and a liability when you buy a house. The same house that you buy, or apartment or property, it could be an asset, it could be a liability. What's the difference between an asset and a liability when it comes to property? An asset is something that you buy it and it starts paying you money. A liability is something that you got to keep injecting money in.
Right.
And this is like the American dream. The American dream is to buy your property. That's why everybody wants to go to the States, because you can buy property, you can buy your freedom, you can do all of that jazz. And what the biggest mistake is they buy the biggest property they can find, and they move into it. And now they're stuck.
Mortgage.
Yeah. Even if the mortgage doesn't go up, but every month you're pumping money into that property.
Yeah, that mortgage.
Had you not put money into that, had you not bought that property,
Right.
had you found another balance, you got to find another balance where you get that property and you rent it out. And at least the tenant starts paying some of that.
Right.
What happens? You can start saving your next 100K.
Your portfolio starts
right?
getting
Well,
bigger.
if I buy this property and I owe the bank $1,000 every month, right? Or $1,000 every month, and I rent it to you, and you pay $1,000. I don't make money, right? But now it's got its own ecosystem. I don't have to touch it. I don't have to touch it.
And it appreciates.
It will appreciate. You will get the capital gains. It will appreciate in value, right? And somebody's paying off your loan.
Right.
Essentially, all you've done is paperwork,
Mm-hmm.
right? Usually done is paperwork. And now this paperwork is going to increase in capital, and somebody's paying that. What this makes it an asset, because now the income that you make from your salary, you don't have to put $1,000 every month there. You can put that $1,000 towards making your next 100K.
True.
Right? And you do that. And this is as simple as it is, guys. As simple as it is. From humble beginnings.
Mm-hmm.
If you start putting money in the stock market, you watch it appreciate over a long period of time. I know a lot of people that got in, that made good money, they were so excited in the stock market, and then they reinvested all of that in, and it crashed, and they lost all their money, and they said, screw it, I don't want to invest. I don't want to invest in the stock market. It's a scam. It's not for everybody. You got to have patience, you got to have endurance, and you got to have resilience when it comes to that. You got to just go through the emotions, or just best thing to do is not look at it. Not look at it. Leave it. 5 years.
Forget about it.
If you're betting on the U.S. indices, then you're betting on the world order of the dollar. And if that really fails, it doesn't matter where your money is.
True.
You're gonna have bigger problems.
You're definitely
right?
gonna have bigger problems.
You're gonna have bigger. So just put it there.
Especially if you're North American.
Yeah, 100%.
If you're Chinese, you're laughing.
Well,
If you're North
everything is
American,
pegged to the dollar.
That's true.
We're living in UAE. It's pegged to the dollar, right? It's petrol is called petrodollar, right? Because it's linked to the petrol. Now BRICS is trying to break it, but let's not go into that.
Keep it.
Yeah, that's what it is.
The Hassan Saad show will be from Canada if we're not careful.
No, but yeah, man. So you do that, and I promise you, within your 20s, your 30s, you're going to see your wealth grows. Now let's take it a bit systematic, right? Let's say you've gone through the not making money phase, and you're making a decent amount, right? You got 5-6 years of experience in your career. You're actually getting paid something reasonable that you could live on and save and whatever. And you got to start making boxes, right? Financial boxes. I do it in a form of having bank accounts, right? So I've got, with ADCB, I got a checking and a saving. With FAB, I got a checking and a saving. And I got another bank with a checking and a saving. So that basically puts like 6 pockets, right? And whenever you get your money in, your salary in, you start dividing it into these pockets. What are these pockets? You got to define these pockets. One is your 100K saving. That always has to be there. Every time you top it up, the 100K, you look at yourself, you look at the market, and you go either into the stock market or into the property market, right? And essentially we said, you go into the stock market until you have enough capital to transfer it to the real estate market, and then you start putting it back again into the stock market until you have enough, and you put it in the real estate market, and so on and so on. Real estate market, you got 2 things: either buying a property or buying property plus land. I always prefer if you buy the property plus land, because what appreciates is the land more than the actual
Definitely.
cement, right? Or the structure.
For sure.
The second block would be you could always try to save 100K for a rainy day. Always have cash. Always have
an emergency.
Always have an emergency fund. Cash.
How much emergency fund should it be? Is there like a formula of like, let's say 3 times your monthly expenditure?
There is actually a good formula for it. I will pull it up in a bit, but I prefer to have a lump sum rather than 3 times your monthly expenditure, right? I would rather have enough to pay rent for a full year, right? And then if you pay rent for a full year, then you need about 10K on top of that every month, right? In
case, God forbid you lose your job or
anything happens,
you're set
right?
for another year.
So if it's so hard to start building wealth, if you start building wealth in the stock market and in the property market, and then you have a problem in life, right? Remember, you're an intellect, you got a job, you've worked on yourself, you'll always get another job. So it's only going to be periodic. You're not going to be out of a job for a year, right? Unless things are really bad in the world. So it's going to be you and everybody else out of a job. So at that point, don't even pay rent. Nobody's going to take you to court, right? Well, Elon Musk did that. Now they're going to settle on a lot lower rent, because if he claims some sort of bankruptcy, then nobody's going to get nothing. And so I would simplify it. I would simplify it to roughly, if you're just you and your wife, have 100K liquid with you. If you got a kid, now I have a little beautiful daughter, and I think we should up that by 50K. So at least 150K, always liquid cash there, right? So that's another pocket. The liquid cash for the rainy day, right? And you don't want this to be too big, because it's like putting your money in a bank account, and it's what we talked about in the beginning. You get nothing out of it. You'd rather put in investment. So you just want to keep it there, because on a rainy day, you don't want to liquidate your hard worked investments, which is in the stock market and a property. So if you get to a point where you have to liquidate a property so you can eat, you've either invested way too much, right? And you didn't really benchmark, and you really increased your risk. And now there's no use of having a property, because if you liquidate immaturely, then you lose money, because everybody has their hands down your pocket. You got the brokers, you got the taxes, you got everybody has hands down your pocket. So you might even lose money on that.
So is the case.
Yeah. So always one pocket is to build your 100K. Another pocket is to have liquid money. A third pocket could be your vacation fund. You like to go on vacations, adventures?
100%.
Yeah. A vacation fund. That could be easy. 25, 30K. Just top it off every time it's empty. Or start filling it up a few months in advance if you want to, right? And that could be one fund. Another fund is, maybe it's old school, but I like it. It's buy some gold, right? Buy some gold. Put 50, 60 grand into gold.
Shout out to Agenta Jewelries.
Oh, yeah, you had him on your podcast. Yeah. Right, shout out to you. Yeah. So buy gold, right? And that also serves sort of like the liquid cash, right? Gold is much harder to transport out of the country, but it's good to have with you, because you will never touch that. If you find stability where you are, bars of gold are good. And in the UAE, you don't pay taxes on it.
Right.
So it's awesome to own, right? Gold is another good investment. And then depending on your lifestyle, what you want to do, let's say the other pockets would be a little bit mobile, like you just moved into a new house, you want to buy new furniture, right?
The moving company,
all of that stuff. So you want to budget it, and if it's always mixed with your main checking account, you can never do math. It's going to be very hard to do the math. You're gonna be like, okay, it's just another 5K for the moving. It's 10K for the new furniture. It's I need another laptop. Even if it's not that much,
even if it's 300 here, 400 here, 500 here, that's even worse, because you can't even. How are you going to calculate all these 300 and 400 that you're spending?
Yeah.
And it starts accumulating, and
boom.
At the end of the month, you're like, what the hell happened?
You don't do nothing. You maybe start spending from your savings as well, right? And that's what we talk about discipline. Right? Discipline in spending money is you got to put it in these pockets. And then if you want to move it from one pocket to another, it's like a proper transaction, wire transfer from this account to that account, right? Even if it costs you like 2.5 dirhams, it doesn't matter. But like you're conscious of your money.
True.
Yeah. There's different kind of rich people out there, really. But you should only concern yourself about you and your own bank account
100%.
at that point.
Don't compare yourself to
Yeah.
other people. Sure.
So you do this in your 20s. Let's say I started work when I was 21, 2021. But let's say the average Joe starts work like after university at 23, 24. You got 6, 7 years to benchmark your first million.
Right.
Doable, super doable if you work on yourself. If you don't work on yourself, you're not going to even do half of that. But by 30, you can have your first target as a first million.
Wow.
And that's as simple as save as much as you can and put that money in the right place. You're young. Don't spend it on cars and impressing people that don't matter to you.
That's essential.
Right? Especially if you want to be an independent man or woman. If you want to really depend on yourself, take care of yourself. Because life's going to be hard in your 30s and 40s, especially if you want to start a family and you want to sponsor them. And we come from a background where we take care of our parents as well.
Right.
And at some point, you got to take care of your parents. When that time comes and you don't have enough finances and you don't have enough control over your cash flow,
right,
you're going to break under pressure. And I promise you, look outside, 80% of the people are in that position. A lot of people are just like expenses, it's like taps, water taps of expenses is open and you can't plug it. You plug this one, this comes out. Your kid got to go to school. Your mom is sick. Your dad's got to renew his visa. Your this and that. The rent is coming up. Bills. You got to pay tickets for this and for that. It's.
If you're not careful, it's just a waterfall.
Yeah, and you live in a capitalistic world.
Very much.
Right. So you gotta play. You gotta play it right. You gotta play it right all the time.
There's a lot of temptations. If you're not focused, you will be drowned. 100%.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Nowadays, look around you. A lot of people with a lot of mortgages or loans and whatnot with this inflation and the increase in rates. A lot of people are gonna go belly up.
Yikes!
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah.
But that's the right time to invest if you're.
It's an awesome time to invest.
100%.
Awesome time. The disclaimer. I'm not a.
Don't take this as financial advice.
Take it the way you want to take it. It's ultimately your responsibility, especially when it comes to the stock market. It's your own responsibility to research and to stomach it. And you gotta stomach it. If you don't stomach it, you're going to lose. Right? So don't get in if you can't do that. Now, you tell me that, okay, I really want to go in and I don't know how much risk to take and what to do and this and that. There are wealth management agencies in the UAE, in Abu Dhabi. I've dealt with them, right? If somebody's interested, we can talk about it after the podcast, but I don't want to drop names, but I've dealt with them and they've really helped because they give you step 2 of making $1 million to 2 million. Right? We'll get into that. But also, they give you step 1 of investing your money into a stock market.
Right.
So you go to them and you sit, and then the person's a professional is going to come sit in front of you, and he's just going to take notes. All right. So, what are you interested in? What kind of stocks are you interested in? You say, I don't know. Okay, fine. I don't know what it is. But what kind of risk do you want? Medium, low, high? Define that for me. Medium or low is like 5% a year, which is equivalent to a mutual fund. Medium is like 10%. High is like 20% or more. But it fluctuates, 20% up, 20% down. But if you're smart, you can stick to this for years until it will always be up. Right? Yeah. Nobody predicted the Russia-Ukraine war that dropped the whole market down to this 100%. Level, right? Yeah.
But it'll pick back up.
Yeah, I didn't sell.
No doubt.
I put more money in the market, and that's what I know a lot of people did. Put a lot more money into the market. This is an opportunity because it's going to come up. But it kept even while it was going down. I kept on putting money on the way down, and that's what everybody should do. Put money on the way down. You'll never catch the bottom. You will put money and then you will see, oh snap, it's going down.
Put more money.
Yeah, put more money.
That's if you guys go back to the episode where I think it was episode 3. I stopped counting the episodes or numbering them, but it was with Khalil with the cryptocurrency, and that's exactly what he was saying. Is when people are panicking and people are afraid, that's when you start buying.
Yeah.
But when people are greedy, that's when you want to be wary of buying.
Yeah. 100%.
When they're optimistic and greedy. Yeah. And that's when you're like, okay, wait a minute, there's a hype going on. I don't want to ride the hype.
You sell.
You start selling.
You sell the hype. Yeah.
And you buy when everybody's afraid.
Actually, logically, it makes a lot of sense.
It does.
And you tell people, and it's like, yeah, it makes sense. But when it's your own money and
emotions,
you're there, you will make. 100%. My uncle called it trigger fingers. Right? And trigger fingers is the worst thing you can have because you're going to start, it starts going down. This is what happens, right? You don't lose on a trade, you lose on trades. So it starts going up And then you go like, oh my God, it's going to go up. And then you hit the FOMO and you go, I got to buy. And as soon as you buy, it's your first time trade, as soon as you buy, it starts going down, right?
And then I started shooting.
So it starts going down. You go like, no, I got to protect my capital. So you sell.
You start
All right, and then you notice that the market goes up because it's always it's trendy, right? Because it goes up, you start buying, and then it goes down, you start selling, and all of a sudden you lost an insane amount of money, and then you go like, you know what, screw this, I'm stressed, right? So if you're gonna do that, take it to a wealth management agency that will manage this for you. And it's not going to be easy for you to sell. You cannot have trigger fingers. You're going to call him up and you're going to say sell. And he's going to advise you not to sell or whatever it is. But they're going to advise you can do their job because ultimately they'll be making 4% gains. Right? Now, but the wealth agency will make 4% of all your money that you made. Right? Well,
considering if you're making 10, 15 every year, every now and then, it's not.
That's the way you should think about it. 100%. Now, a lot of people go like, yeah, but they're going to take 4%. And it's going to cost me 4,000 dirhams a year.
Yeah, but you're making.
But look at the flip side. Yeah. You're making a lot more. Let them make 4%. Let them make 5% if they're going to make you more.
For sure.
Right? So put it there. And it doesn't matter. Yeah. And when you come to buy a property, a lot of people will also worry about, but then you got this service fees that you got to pay every annual fees. It's like 15,000 dirhams a year. If you have the right investment, you're capping 100K a year. You're capping 100K a year. You got to pay it. There's no such thing as easy money. There's no such thing as free money. And if you're not working for it, because it's all basically paperwork, and now you live in a place or you own a place, you got to pay money, and you pay money, and you always got to pay to make. Always got to give to take. 100%. You always got to give to take.
I agree.
Right? And let's say it takes you, I would say, an average 6 to 7 years to really reach your first million. Right. And it's always going to get better. Why? Because if you're working on yourself year after year, your monthly income increases. You're supposed to start making more money. True. You're supposed to work on yourself. If you're not making more money at the company, it's not the company's fault.
It's your fault.
Right?
For sure.
You can do something about it. Trust me. In companies, they're looking for people that are competent, people that want to shine. They're looking for rising stars. They're hungry for it because you look around you, the average Joe is going back to what we described at the beginning. I don't even think we finished that, the duty part, right? Duty is you go, do your duty, come back. Work is you go and you work for yourself, right? So a lot of people, they got their social life, they got their family, they got their whatever it is, side businesses, side hustles, etc. So they just work and go. They don't want to.
Another dollar.
Yeah. Well, also, you can do a lot of other things with your money. Like for me, the best safe investment is stocks and real estate. But a lot of people can open side businesses, side hustles. You can make money. Some people can make money off social media. That's insane, right?
Trading.
That's it.
Import, export, social media.
Yeah. 100%. Pet Store was an online pet store, right. So we didn't sell pets, but we used to sell pet food and products that pets need. But the idea of it is, you could, in this current day and age, you can hustle with whatever way possible to make a passive income, something on the side. So initially, you could start with Amazon affiliate marketing, and you could just go to ChatGPT nowadays and go like, how can I start an Amazon affiliate marketing? And the script is, boom, there. You just got to find a product and you got to hustle through it. Now, some people tend to get extremely rich from that. Some people tend to make some side money. Some people tend to get tired of it at some point. But the point is, as long as you're hustling, find a way to make a passive income. When you have enough of an income and you actually magnify your stocks and your properties, then you can have passive income from like rent, right? And you can have passive income from stocks as in forms of dividends every year. So you can pick like blue chip stocks that pay you like 5% dividend every year. So you've asked the question at the beginning, is it worth it to put your money in a bank account and get 5% every year? Well, you could put it in IBM, and IBM gives you like almost 5% every year, right? I think, who did I look at recently? I think Coca-Cola gives something as high as that as well. And it's really good. And there are some Scandinavian companies that go up to like 7% per year, right? But that's also like you're in stocks and you're getting paid dividends. So you're compounding your effect. But do your passive income. You get to your first million in one way or another. But the basic rule is keep making that 100K, put it into an investment. Another 100K, put it in an investment. Work on yourself and grow. Now, you make your first million by the age of 30, 31, 32, 35, 40, it doesn't matter. You make your first million. When you make your first million, that's $1 million made out of investment, right? You still gotta stand on your own 2 feet. A million is good money, but not enough to be like self-sustainable forever, right? So you make that million and you still work on yourself. So when you make that million, you still nothing throughout your whole journey stops the 100K buckets. The only thing that's going to change is that instead of taking you 6 months, a year to make a 100K bucket, you're going to start building it up in a couple of months or a month if you're doing really well, right? You build up those 100K buckets and you keep investing it. Now, the idea is your first million, you have to assess your risk. And your risk has to be somewhere between medium and high. Don't go low risk. Do not go low risk. Your journey is going to take forever because the first million is the hardest to make. And then the next few millions, they're just going to come. They're just going to come if you're smart. And there are in this world, there are like organizations, banks, and like I say, investment bankers, wealth management agencies that will take your million. They'll take a little bit of sum out of it for themselves, but that's trivial because they're going to turn that million into a couple of millions. This is where I would like to talk about something that I came across in about 2019, which is called structured notes, right? And structured notes is basically, it's made for the rich, which is you put a high amount of money in there, a significant amount of money, and they would take something like only if you got $1 million or so, right? And they will take that and they will invest it into banks, and you will get, nowadays I think the last one I checked was given something like a 20% return, right? It can go anywhere from 12 to 20%, but now because the market is doing really bad, they're attracting people and they're doing 20% returns. And I know a couple of people that are in right now making 20% returns per annum, and they pay, structured notes pay once every quarter, right? And what's beautiful about this is you have wealth management agencies here, right? Which I've tried and I can vouch for, and I can advise people about it later, but don't want to drop names on the podcast, but you can go there and they would invest their capital of $10 million or so, and then they will start taking, and then they will allow you to put 100 grand there, so your 100K into that, and they'll invest it for you and bring you back 20K a year, right? Or 20% a year. Let's say it's roughly about 20%, right? Property gives you more than that. If you have a really good property, it will give you more than 20% a year in terms of either renting it or passive income, or renting it, or like capital gains. It will give you something like that. But property always comes with a headache, especially if you're renting it to a tenant. Oh, maintenance, you've got the fees, you've got the, if you're in Abu Dhabi, you don't pay taxes, but if you're in Canada, for example, you pay property taxes, land taxes, income taxes, geez. And when you sell it, they're going to take nice handful of taxes from your capital gains. Abu Dhabi is better in that sense because you don't fall into taxes.
Don't let me start talking about Canada.
Maybe another different podcast. We can spend an hour talking about it.
We'll take my passport.
Right. So sometimes when you build capital, you want to get out of that headache and you want to go into the easy way, or not easy. Let's say, I don't think it's easy, but like a less of a headache investment. And you take that first million that you make, right? Whenever you can afford to take that million and you put it into a structured note, and you could take 500K, you could take 100K, you could take 200, you could take whatever you want, right? But you can take it and you can go to these wealth management agencies and they will take your money and they will give you the same deal of 20% return per annum, right? And you take that. And let's do a little bit of math, right? It takes you forever to build your 100K bucket, for example, and then forever to make your first million. You take that million, you put it into a structured note. It pays you 20% per annum. Now, structured notes are two types. You got one with a memory note or memory token, and one without. Always go with the memory one because there's rules to it, and we can go into details later. But the rule is if it goes under, if the value of that structured note drops by 20%, then you don't get paid for that quarter. But if you have a memory token, then they will say, you know what, Hassan, you're not going to get paid for this quarter, but here's a token. When it goes up, right, we're going to give you 20. We're going to give you. You can cash in this token for the money that it's worth. And even if you don't get paid for a full year, which is unlikely, but if you miss a quarter, you're going to get paid the next quarter or the quarter after. And you're going to get paid in full. So at the end of the year, you're going to realize your 20%. And this usually goes for 4 years, right? Sometimes 2. I've seen recently ones that go for 6 months only, right? However, you can always jump into the next structured note, and the wealth management will manage that for you. So if you put $1 million into that, you're going to start making pure cash of roughly 200,000 a year, just pure cash a year, and it's not like a bullet check where it's just one time. No, every single year you're making 20K, 200K. Now you tell me, oh, 200K is sweet, or sometimes you tell me 200K is not enough to make you another millionaire, but just
You're making steady money.
you're making steady money, and there's no such thing as a get rich quick scheme.
For sure.
Right? So you make that 200K, man, it'll pay for you. You'll pay for your rent, it'll pay for some stuff, but it will not go directly out of your pocket. If you're smart, that 200K goes straight back into investing to compound it.
Compound effect.
Right? And you build your own self. You're still building your own self from when you're young 20s till you're older. You build yourself so that you can still live, sustain your lifestyle, even if you want a luxurious lifestyle, from your own salary.
Right.
And then you compound that. And that 200K will, in no time, help you become 5 years, it's another million.
Easily.
Right? And
what's the risk associated with this though?
It's global market collapse. So if the global market collapses, then you don't get paid.
Right.
And then you got bigger problems than that. But no risk, no reward. I think it's a bigger risk not to take a risk.
I think so.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So once you reach your first million, it will take you 4 to 5 years to make your second million via structured notes alone. But if you've got that second million in 5 years from structured notes alone, plus you've got your properties that are appreciating in value, plus you got your 100K pockets popping up, in 5 years you'll have roughly another 3, 4,
Easy.
5 million. Now your net worth is 5 million, right?
You do it all over again.
Let's do the math. Forget it. Whether it's 5 years, or 10 years. Let's say it takes you your whole 30s to build up from 1 million to 5 million. Now you take that 5 million, you put it in structured notes, and you sit back, you kick back, and 20% of 5 million is $1 million a year cash. Every flipping year, which is roughly 100K monthly salary.
That's almost what a CEO makes.
That is, and
in some cases.
And if you're smart by 40s, you're gonna have a decent salary, deeds and benefits that now you're on the way. In your 40s, you're on the way to financial freedom. Yep. You could quit your job.
Easy.
If you tell me you can't live on 100K a year or a month, then
something is wrong.
Then don't quit your job.
I don't know what you're doing.
But some people want to live so lavishly they can spend that 100K every month. So keep working and keep growing. You keep growing this. Okay, now that's 5 million making you $1 million. What if you hit 100? What if you make 10 million? Right now, if you got 10 million, you're diversified. You're diversified in between.
You're good to go.
Between stocks, between properties, between structured notes, and at that point, you would have tasted sweet and sour from every single part of these investments. Look at the richest people in the world, right? Warren Buffett, purely stocks.
Right.
The guy from Rich Dad Poor Dad, purely property, and so on. So the idea is to make your first million, that makes your the next 5 million and 10 million, but you can only do that if you hit your 100K pockets.
That is honestly well appreciated advice. Of course, be responsible with how you invest. But I think you gave us a nice breakdown, a structured breakdown from when you're 20s and building the habit of saving your money so you can build those 100K pockets and start saving and then investing those 100K pockets based on your capabilities and where you do your homework. And from then on, you have a step-by-step process on how to make your first million.
Right.
And then from there, it's just structured notes.
That's one of them.
That's one of them, indeed. And property is one of them as well.
Property can blow up
so
significantly.
You said two things. You said either stocks or property, build those better habits. And that's, I think, a little bit of a summary of, you mentioned rule 1, build a habit of saving your money.
Right.
Don't go for instant gratification.
Don't.
Step 2, build your first 100K.
Right.
And once you get to your first 100K,
you know how to build 100Ks.
That's it.
Yeah.
You build your first 100K, keep it for a rainy day. Your second 100K, invest it. Property or stocks. Those are the two things you should be.
That's where you begin. Correct.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Well, the whole journey is being making the 100K or making the million. you're really working on yourself. So you're going to grow. You're going to have your own opinion. You're going to be smart. You're going to be using people to help you get richer. You can't get better at playing pool with people that don't know how to play pool.
That are worse than
right?
Sure.
Surround yourself with people that really matter. It's people that you want to be influenced with.
For sure.
And then you'll climb up slowly.
That's law 4 or 5 from Jordan Peterson. Surround yourself with people like-minded or something along those lines. You are who your friends are, and if your friends is, like you said, the analogy of playing pool, if they're worse than you, then, or if they're not thinking the same way, then you're always going to be on that level.
Yeah, true.
Don't be the smartest person in the room.
True. You can gain skill with life, and you can lose skill with life.
For sure.
Right.
It was a pleasure having you.
Oh, the pleasure's all mine.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm looking forward to dropping this one, for sure.
Oh.
I'm sure my viewers are going to be super happy with this topic, because I think everybody can get a bit of advice.
I hope so.
On saving money and building financial wealth.
Right. Well, a lot of this has been a lot of fun, really.
For sure.
And if anybody's interested in lots of details, just let me know. We can come back with a second podcast.
100%. You're always invited.
Yeah, you can.
This was Financial Wealth with Moe G, guys, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much. And guys, leave your comments below. If you have any questions, you can directly go to Moe G. I'll leave his link to his account on Instagram.
Sure.
Message him directly. You can always message or leave a comment below. It was a pleasure having you, man. Thank you very much.
The pleasure's all mine, man. All the best. All the best. Love the show. Really love the show.
Catch you. We'll definitely. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Really love the show.
And we need to invite for Jamal, Khalid. Let's come in here. Khalid, let's talk about
get them all in.
Your slides.
Get them all.
And Jamal, let's shoot the shit, man. For sure.
For sure, man.
That would
for
be
sure.
Nice.
Fantastic.
All the best.
Happy to be here. All the best. Good luck, man.
Appreciate it.
Of course.
That was it.
That's a wrap. Oh, sweet.
Get out of here.
Thank you for watching the Hassan Saad Show. If you want to support this channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so whenever I upload, you'll get notified.